The Lord of Darkness, Part 3, The Middle of the World, Chapter 2, The Birth of Jesus. If you're Christian, you might not like this next bit. I'm not too fond of it myself, but for different reasons. Jesus was the biological son of Mary and Joseph. Someone made a processing error and let his soul take root in a body a few months too early. I went to Earth to smooth things over. Joseph had moved to Mary's town of Nazareth at a young age, and when he stopped hating girls, he stopped hating Mary first. Their fondness for each other blossomed under heavy encouragement from both families, and no one was surprised when he asked for her hand in marriage. He was 16, which was a couple of years below average for grooms of the time, and Mary was 13, which was exactly average for brides of the time. Things could look quite different once Mary's pregnancy started to show, and she was terrified. She prayed, "Please, God, I don't know what's happening to me. I seem to be pregnant, but I'm a virgin. I don't know what to do. If anyone finds out, I'll be stoned to death." I shimmered into view, my light brown hair floating around as if suspended in water. "Don't be afraid." Mary drew back with a gasp, tears ceasing instantly in her surprise. She was young and pretty, with long hair and a round face. "I'm Archangel Gabriel of Communication and Temperance," I told her. "I'm here to answer your prayers." "I'll do whatever you ask me," Mary said calmly, but with a look of desperation in her eyes. "Explain to Joseph that the child you carry is a gift from God, and invite him to share in this gift with you," I said. Mary looked skeptical, but said, "I'm the Lord's servant." No offense to Joseph, but I didn't really expect him to take Mary's word for it, so I paid him a visit in his dreams. He had brown hair, soulful black eyes, a narrow face, and lean carpenter's muscles. "Joseph, I am the Archangel Gabriel," I announced. "I bring you good tidings. Through no fault of her own, Mary became pregnant by the will of God. God also wills you to treat her kindly, marry her as planned, and care for her child as your own." "I understand, great angel," Joseph exclaimed. "I will serve the Lord." He woke with a start. He wasn't fully convinced that it wasn't an ordinary dream until Mary came to him with the news. In heaven, we decided to take advantage of the mistake and select that child, Jesus, as the Earth's Messiah. It was around the right time for a Messiah, and the miraculous backstory made him an obvious choice. I was very excited by this turn of events, since Messiah duty is one of the best and most important assignments for an Archangel of Communication. I spent the next few months putting together lesson plans, which I'd done many times before, but each time was excitingly different. As Mary's pregnancy progressed, I became more and more impatient for God to summon me to the blue void to give me my assignment. I was thoroughly perturbed when Jesus' birth night arrived in the summer of 0 AD, and I still hadn't been summoned. That night, God summoned Nick to the blue void. The Almighty was manifested as a short-haired Yorkshire Terrier. Nick was wearing a phoenix on his shirt for the occasion, alluding to our tradition of resurrecting messiahs for farewell tours after they die. He was planning to join the crowd at the main Earth view screen that was streaming Jesus' birth. It had been an exceptionally long time since Nick felt motivated to attend such a large social gathering, something God had been encouraging him to do for a while, so he was more than a little surprised they interrupted him on the way there. "What's up?" "Your next penance assignment," God told him. Nick sighed dejectedly, slumping under the weight of their words. His penance assignments over the last few centuries were relatively mundane, hence their exclusion from this book, and after a while he stopped waiting anxiously for the next one to be dropped on him. That night he came dangerously close to forgetting about his troubles for one blessed moment, but it was not to be. "I am giving you Messiah duty," the Creator continued. Nick stared uncomprehendingly. "I don't get it." "Which part confuses you?" they asked. "The part where you want me to do it." As opposed to Gabriel, whose job it is," Nick contended. God let out an exasperated rough. "Nick, we have gone over this. Some of your penance assignments overlap pre-assigned duties." "I don't get why Messiah duty's part of my penance," Nick elaborated. "Why should it not be?" "Because it's good." "I only ask you to do good," the Creator reminded him sternly. "I know," said Nick, "but you know what I mean." "I do," they acknowledged. "The scope of the task has been fundamentally altered as a result of your sin." "Altered how?" Nick asked apprehensively. I will keep you informed as needed, God said. Okay, Nick replied slowly as he tried to imagine how Messiah duty, notably one of the most sought-after assignments, could have been corrupted. Nick stepped out of the blue void into the Room of Worlds. He smirked, realizing he'd got past security without even trying. He looked up at the main Earth view screen that was streaming Jesus' birth. Then he surveyed the captivated crowd around him. No one was watching him. All eyes were glued to the screen. The devil found himself swiping someone else's world pass and stepping through the Earth portal without any recollection of deciding to do it. Nick took a deep breath of fresh desert air and gazed up at the magnificent supernova exploding in the night sky above him, courtesy of the Glixern apocalypse. He smiled at the majesty of nature, and his shirt began reflecting the glorious sky above. A cry from Jesus' mother, Mary, snapped Nick's attention back to the stables. Now, how'd I know I'd find you here of all places? Asked Archangel Michael of security and kindness from behind him. Nick grimaced before turning to face him. Michael had his shield up and flaming sword pointed at Nick, ready to strike. Nick rolled his eyes. I'm not going to cause trouble. I just want to watch. There's a big screen in the Room of Worlds with a better view, Michael pointed out. So cut the crap and tell me what you're really doing here. Look, you got me, the devil admitted, putting up his hands. I'm not supposed to be here. I'll leave willingly and fill out your mountain of paperwork or whatever. No, barked Michael. First tell me why you came and how you got in. And Nick didn't have much choice. One of Michael's special abilities was the power to disable teleportation in a range that was largely up to him. Plus, he had better armor, weapons, training, and physique, not to mention the moral high ground. Pickpocketed someone's world pass while they were watching the show, Nick explained. Why? Nick shrugged. I don't know. I just wanted to be here. I just got Messiah duty. Michael scoffed. Bullshit. Shocked me too, Nick said. You must think I'm stupid, because that's one of the worst lies I ever heard. Nick shrugged again. Ask them yourself. What happened, Nick? Michael lamented. You never used to do stuff like this. Pranks, sure, but intruding on a Messiah's birth? I get it, Nick snapped. I threw another wrench in your otherwise perfect life. I said I'll go. Michael scoffed. Perfect life? My life's been miserable ever since you... I can't even hear you and I know you're a broken record, Nick said. Believe me, I'm paying for my sin plenty without your input. Like Messiah duty? Michael mocked. You're right, there's gotta be a catch to that one, Nick mused. You're sticking to that bullshit excuse, he marveled. Before Nick could answer, they were interrupted by a baby's crying. Unthinkingly, Nick made a dash for the stable. Michael caught him by the scruff of his neck. You just made my night. Now I get to charge you with failure to cease and desist. Nick scoffed. So what? That penance is a piece of cake. True, but it gives me just cause to detain you by any means I deem necessary. Michael grinned wickedly. He sheathed his sword and hit Nick on the chest with his shield. Okay, I'm going, snapped the devil irritably. Michael struck him harder. What the hell? Knock it off, Nick protested, shoving him back. Michael stashed his shield in a pocket dimension and swung a fist at Nick, who blocked it reflexively. They had, after all, spent untold hours sparring together over billions of years. But this was different. The aggression was palpable. What's your problem? Nick demanded, attempting to punch him back. You are, Michael shouted, blocking Nick's fist. The seraphim lunged at each other in earnest, feet and hands lashing out expertly. Blow after blow was dealt. You're just jealous. I found another human I like more than you, Nick accused. Michael struck at his face. Nick didn't react in time, and the full force of the blow knocked him over. Before either of them knew what was happening, Michael kneeled heavily on Nick's arms, pinning him down, and punched his face repeatedly. The Archangel of Security and Kindness pummeled him until he couldn't see past the swelling. Why can't you just go back to normal? Michael screamed as his fists thrashed out wildly. We did everything together. Now I have no one. You ruined everything. Our lives were perfect, and you ruined everything. Nick isn't sure if he underwent a perception skip or blacked out from the beating, but the next thing he remembers is being suddenly aware of Michael's absence. His swelling had gone down enough for him to see he was still in the Bethlehem desert. Unwilling to move yet, he stared up at the exploding star with envy. On the other hand, Nick was really looking forward to his latest penance assignment, despite being perplexed by it. He supposed it made some sense that he finished the job of explaining things to humanity since he started it, but it seemed uncomfortably more like a reward than a punishment, so Nick distrusted it. He longed to sneak a peek at the baby Messiah, but thought better of it. It wasn't worth risking another altercation with Michael. Instead, he teleported back to the Earth portal and stepped through it. There was still a small crowd in the Room of Worlds watching the newborn Jesus, although interest was waning. Archangel Jophi of Humility was there and spotted Nick immediately. "Whoa, what happened to you?" she asked, alarmed. "Mind your own damn business, Jophi," Nick retorted, pushing past her. Jophi must have had her suspicions. Very little can harm a celestial. God, celestials, and rare holy weapons. Whatever she thought, she didn't pursue the matter. Nick enveloped himself in shadows, teleporting to his favorite room in hell. The rock formations looked like ocean waves crashing, a stormy sea made of stone. The ground was choppy in some places and slick in others. Great waves frozen mid-crash roared silently around him as he maneuvered his way through. He deftly navigated to his favorite spot, where one formation looked like a massive wave just about to hit the ground. He laid down and stared up at the threatening chaos looming above him. Nick felt comfortable there because it seemed to capture the essence of his life during that time. Millennia later, Nick would sit atop the stone waves with Eve, and the room would take on a very different tone. "Ever wish you had a life?" Eve asked. "I got a life," Nick objected. She laughed. "You know what I mean." "Not really," Nick answered. "I mean, I don't feel like I missed out. Your first lives seem real tragic and frustrating." "But they're not," Eve protested. "Life is wonderful. Time's precious because you have so little of it." "Honestly, though, if you had to pick one..." "All right, I'd rather be a celestial," she replied. "But I don't have to pick one. I had both." "When you put it that way," Nick mused. "Still, not knowing my own purpose? I don't know how you guys do it." "We don't know how else to be," Eve pointed out. "And I don't want you any other way," said Nick, catching her hands in his and kissing her knuckles. "But why?" "Eve, come on." "For humanity in general," she clarified. "You wanted Earth to last longer. Why?" "I gotta change my answer to the life question," Nick conceded. "I'm not jealous of all your suffering, but I guess I'm jealous of what it turns you into. You're better than us, I think. There's a sort of spark in you that Seraphim just don't have." "Except you," Eve said. Nick laughed. "What?" "For millennia, you grieved for a lost loved one, hated your job, and agonized over not understanding God's plan," she pointed out. "Huh, you're right," he realized. "I don't know how I feel about that." After fighting with Nick, Michael left Earth in a daze. He stumbled into his room, only to discover it had flooded, which was enough to shake him back to reality. Michael's room was usually static, aside from the occasional new water feature. He never intentionally attuned it to his emotions or introduced any radical changes, but that night every fountain overflowed, and several developed sizable cracks. Michael backed out of the room and slammed the door shut, half soaked by his own guilty subconscious. Then he ran. His feet carried him to Nick's room, where he locked himself in. It was dark and desolate. Frigid wind howled between the trees. Michael had never been so overcome by wrath, had never faced such fearsome temptation, and every fiber of his being despaired in his overwhelming failure as an angel and a friend. The distraught Seraph fell to his knees and wept. While all that drama went on, I was busy on my own mission to lead a caravan of travelers towards the newborn Messiah. They were the kings Balthazar, Melchior, and Gaspar, and their servants. "Word has spread of our pilgrimage," Balthazar told me in his dream. "Another king expressed interest in joining us." "Which king?" I asked suspiciously. "King Herod of Judea," he said. "No, stay away from that guy," I instructed. "Don't let Herod get anywhere near the Messiah." Balthazar bowed. "As you command." And so, after presenting fabulous gifts to baby Jesus, the three kings went back to their respective homes without telling Herod where to find him. You see, at the time, Herod was being tempted by Mammon, the archdemon of greed. Herod was unattractive, self-absorbed, well-fed, and decorated in an assortment of ostentatious accessories. "You deserve all the adoration you desire," Mammon whispered in his ear. "That worthless baby is going to take it from you." "If only I knew where he was," said Herod, thinking it was to himself. "You know basically where he is," Mammon pointed out. "To be sure, I'd need to kill every child born this year in the whole vicinity," he thought. "That could take a year to do," she reminded him. "Better make it every child under 2 to be safe," Herod reasoned. King Herod went on a rampage, massacring children 2 years old and under in the general area of Jesus' birth. Naturally, Mary and Joseph decided to get their son out of town. A few days after being assigned to train Earth's Messiah, Nick felt compelled to visit Abel. He drank a few too many drinks and knocked on the door in a sloppy rhythm. Abel threw it open, saw Nick, then hastily closed it enough to block Nick's view. "Back in a bit," Abel called to someone inside. He joined Nick in the hallway, snapping the door shut behind himself. Nick boggled. "You got a girl in there?" "What happened to your face?" demanded Abel. "Long story," the devil replied evasively. "I can come back later if you're busy." "You always drop whatever you're doing to help me," the human retorted. "Tell me what you need." "I gotta know the truth," Nick said. "Dangerous start. Go on." "God gave me a Messiah duty, and I don't know if I can handle it," blurted the distraught archangel. "You spent more time with me than any other human. Honestly, what do you think?" Abel said thoughtfully. "What's Messiah duty?" "I gotta train him to inspire others and teach him the stuff humanity's gotta learn now," Nick answered. "Guide him through his lifetime, do miracles, that sort of thing." "So, what are you worried about?" Abel wondered. "That sounds like what you do all the time." "What do you mean?" "Your job is teaching humans to be good," Abel argued, "not to mention your penance assignments. You obsess over saving humanity and the meaning of good and evil." "I don't obsess," Nick objected. "And you're a kind and patient guardian." Nick smiled. "Thanks." "Anytime," said Abel. "But be honest, how come your face is all smashed up? I didn't think that was even possible." "Really? I gotta have some serious words with my orientation department," Nick quipped. "More importantly, who you got stashed in your room?" Quick as a flash of light wrapped in shadows, Nick was at Abel's door, throwing it open. It was empty. Nick poked his head in and scanned the room amusedly. The ground and furniture were made of fluffy cumulus clouds, per usual. Abel ran to his side and tried to pull him back, but the seraph barely noticed. "There's no one here," Nick said, losing conviction in his words as he said them. And then realization crashed down on him with a resounding, "Oh." "Nick, come on," Abel urged, tugging his arm futilely. "Eve's in there, isn't she?" Nick surmised. She was. Abel glanced over Nick's shoulder to gauge his mom's awareness of the situation. He was relieved to see the glazed look in her eyes that indicated she was undergoing a full perception skip, so couldn't even see Abel there. He glanced back at Nick and was sad to see the pained look in his eyes that indicated he was trying his damnedest to fight off a full perception skip. "Abel, please, let me talk to her," pleaded the archangel. "I know she can't hear me, but I got so much to say." "Okay," he agreed softly. "Can you point me in the right direction and give me a minute?" "Sure," Abel said in the same hollow tone. Trying not to look as guilty as he felt, he guided Nick to the cloud outcropping where Eve sat, then left the room to give them some privacy. Nick stared at the seemingly empty space with longing. "I miss you. Every day I miss you. I'm not dealing with it in a healthy way either. I bet you are, if it's even a problem for you. You probably read half a library by now and know all about coping with grief. This is killing me, by the way, knowing you're there and not seeing you. And perception skips are making my head all fuzzy, but you know what that's like. At least we can share something. Too bad it's this. Oh, Eve, I love you so much, and I wish I told you when I had the chance." Nick sorrowfully blew her a kiss and turned towards the door, then changed his mind and whirled around to probably face Eve again. "Do you miss me? even remember me? Do you care that you can't see me? What'd you think if you knew I'm hanging out with your sons? Did you ever love me, even a little? Ugh, I wish this was a real conversation, Nick lamented. I need your help. I got tons of penance practice, but this is different. This time, I don't know if I'm good enough. Abel thinks I am, and so does God, but do you think I'm a good person? What I wouldn't give to know. You saw me better than anyone, better than I see myself, and now you can't even... You don't even know I'm here. So damn tired of being without you. At least my penance distracts me. When that's done, how the hell am I supposed to cope with eternity? You got married, had kids, and probably got a full afterlife here, but I just can't move on. I know with all my heart that you're the only person for me. I just don't know why God set me up to lose you forever. It's probably best if you don't miss me, but I can't help wanting you to miss me a little. My world's so dark without you. You're the light of my life, and I'm gonna love you past the end of time. Nick dried his eyes and took several deep breaths before walking out the door. Hey, said Abel. Hey, you okay? Nick laughed bitterly. No, but I haven't been for a real long time, and I think I'm a little more okay than usual. Thanks, Abel. I really needed this. Abel hugged him tightly. Nick returned the embrace, then left quickly. Abel went back inside to find his mother in tears. Mom, are you okay? I'm fine, Eve replied, drying her face. Don't even know why I'm crying.